Hi, I'm Craig, English film nerd living in Wales, and this week I laughed out loud for a full minute upon discovering that poor Tyler had to purchase a free pack of Steven Seagal movies in order to watch on Deadly Ground. I'm not even kidding. I sat here just chuckling to myself for a full minute. It was just one of my favorite things that's ever happened. And also this week I came to the realization that I don't know if Dave and Tyler came to this realization. Our most attractive and virile co-host, Kevin Matthews, will almost certainly have the deciding vote this week. So know what I'm going for. Already know what Dave and Tyler are going for, so it's all down to Kevin, I think, this week. So I'm putting in my bid. Kevin,
Yeah.
I will trombone you for your vote. So mull it over. That's my bid.
I've already bought him, dude. I looked at his Amazon wish list, and let's just say I already own him.
Nothing better than me, like, lazily tromboning him whilst crying. I doubt
I
it.
think most things would be better than that, really. Maybe if you had some enthusiasm, it might be close, but no.
We'll see.
I'm Tyler Hosley, and I only picked Donkey Punch because I really wanted somebody to download a really fucked up porn instead of the actual movie.
I'm Dave Gray, and I accidentally downloaded a really fucked up porn the first time instead of watching the right Donkey Punch. I'm gonna have nightmares for a long time now.
I knew my plan would work. That's the only reason I picked Donkey Punch. I just trolled you all and made you watch Donkey Punch.
That's not how love is supposed to be, Tyler. That's just not how it's supposed to be.
I'm Kevin Matthews, film fan living in Edinburgh, and there'll be lots of jokes this week about deja vu. I'm sad that I wasted my amusing intro last week. And also this week I remembered, because one of the films we were doing has Marilyn Monroe singing Diamonds Are a Girl's Best Friend. And then people often tell it, dogs are man's best friend. So if you ever have a friend and it's a birthday coming up, get them a copy of the album Diamond Dogs, and you're covered. And this is Raiders of a Podcast.
Yay. We watched Gentlemen Prefer Blondes, Cowboy Bebop the movie, On Deadly Ground, and Donkey Punch. I mean, those movies would go together perfectly in a quadruple pack, wouldn't they?
They certainly would.
Talk about thematic parody. So, Tyler?
Yes?
You want to pick a movie and tell us about it?
Sure. I'll make it this one out of the way, Craig. On Deadly Ground is about a martial artist, environmentalist agent that takes on a ruthless oil corporation. I got a story to go along with this because I always have a story with shit I hate. So here we go. I'm not a Steven Seagal fan, guys. I find him I find him unbearable to watch. So I was pretty much dreading this movie. Anyways, let's fast forward to Saturday. So I go to the movie store to hopefully find a really, really fucking cheap copy of On Deadly Ground. I walk my ass over to the Steven Seagal section. I'm going through the DVDs. I see some for like $2.99, $4.99, $6.99, all pretty cheap. So having to buy one DVD wouldn't hurt my soul that bad, right? But yeah, still no On Deadly Ground. So at the end of the rack, and then guess what? There lies a copy of On Deadly Ground, except it's a fucking Steven Seagal 3-pack for $19.99. $20 fucking dollars. I spent $20 on a 3-pack DVD of an actor who I absolutely despise. So I went from owning no Steven Seagal movies to fucking 3 in one shot.
Yeah, but you own Out for Justice now, which is by far his best film, and you'll actually dig that one. It's probably not worth 20 quid, but
it's got William Forsythe, so there's a chance.
It has. He's awesome.
The girl at the register asked me why I was crying, and I said, "Well, look at." I said, "Look at the DVD I'm buying," and yeah. After loving adrenochrome and not calling you a son of a bitch ever, this is how you repay me. A Steven Seagal movie. Okay. This movie was garbage. Seagal is awful. His mumbling voice and his terrible line delivery made me want to choke him with the fringe hanging from that awful fucking coat that he wore throughout the entire movie. The action is boring. The story is boring. Seagal thinks he's making some grand environmentalist statement, and he's not, because the script is lackluster dog shit. It's a mediocre 90s action movie. There isn't a single thing memorable in the entire movie, which to me is so much worse than bad. The only redeeming thing about it for me was Michael Caine as a villain, while at the same time I'm pretty sure this might be his worst performance ever. Yeah, I'm not a fan of this movie, and I own 3 Steven Seagal movies I'd buy for $20, and this is one of them, and I hate myself for buying it. Whatever, that was me.
Don't worry, man. You'll get your money's worth. Craig will make sure you have to watch every single one of those.
No, I won't pick out for justice. I'll definitely pick fire down below, because I'm a fucker.
Yeah, sure. I've got
Yeah, like it's
I've
like
got
it's a support
notes.
group.
I've got notes. First of all, before I really get into the body of the film, the chubby, slow body of the film, Craig, what does it take to change the essence of a man?
I need time,
I just really want to know. Oh, time. Yeah, you need time. I need time. Yeah, I know. I'm trying to change. This film made me change. I'd seen it before. And yet somehow, in some kind of self-defense maneuver, my mind had trapped it off in my memory banks and allowed me to forget how bad it is. How bad it is for a film that Steven Seagal also directed about his lone quest to save the planet from mankind. I mean, it's just he's playing Captain Planet, right? Is that who he is? Is that what it is?
If
the
Captain
warrior.
Planet was a fat, middle-aged white man with delusions of grandeur, sure, yeah, Captain Planet.
And he gave himself the name Forrest Taft. That's not a name, that's a range of handmade wicker furniture. That's what that is. And he's like, I'm Forrest Taft. But
I call him
security-
Tassels McGee.
That's what I'm thinking. You got a great cast. Now, is Michael Caine is the kind of main evil corporate guy. Michael Jennings. So he just had to remember the name Michael, basically. Was that an excess amount of black hair dye? Or was his character supposed to have dipped his head in a barrel of oil every morning just to show that he was an evil oil dunking bastard? So what was?
I think it's how him and Seagal bonded in the first place.
Right,
Due to
possibly.
their equally
Yeah, that's how I
greasy-
took it.
And
hookers. Greasy hair and
John C.
hookers.
McGinley's there. Great to see John C. McGinley as a scummy baddie. Magruder was his name. The recently late Arlie Ermey is there, and this is the film that we're choosing to discuss from his filmography. So thanks for that, Craig.
That was an accident.
Yeah. Nobody else has ever picked this film to cover on a podcast, and he died of shame. That's on you, Craig. That's on you, you know. And Billy Bob Thornton, before he was like recognizably Billy Bob Thornton, it looked more like sort of like a full-size good guy doll, but with the black bits just painted around the edges. It was very odd. Yeah, On Deadly Ground isn't good. It's not a good film. It's ponderous. It has a couple of, well, I wouldn't say a couple of decent action beats. Like, there's stuff to laugh at. The first sequence where you see how tough Forrest Taft is, is it Mike Starr? I think he's a big guy in that sequence. Is that his name? So that was a lot of fun. Nothing really comes up to that sequence. It's good seeing the bad guys be scummy and bad, but it's not as much fun when you're seeing Seagal kind of fighting back, if that makes sense. I kind of enjoyed McGinley and co being incompetent but evil henchmen. But yeah, and by the time it came to it's the fight back from Seagal, which you expect. It just wasn't as much fun. And there's an ending speech about the environment and stuff. And I don't know how close to truth this is, but Apparently that originally ran for 40 minutes. 40 minutes of Seagal going about the planet and, I don't know, plankton and saving the environment stuff. 40 minutes. That's insane. Absolutely insane. It's watchable. I mean, I didn't feel the pain that Tyler felt. This is a watchable film, but Seagal doesn't show any knack for directing, apart from knowing to have the camera on himself when he wants it. The writers just, I think, were just glared at by Seagal until they wrote everything that he wanted. And I have to wonder, like, this was 94, and I looked, and Seagal had a great run out the gates before this. This was his 6th feature film. But before this, from his first film, it was Above the Law, who's also known as Nico, Hard to Kill, Marked for Death, Out for Justice, and Under Siege. That's a really solid run for any of the action stars kind of that round about that time. That's a great run. So I wonder how people felt when they actually went to the cinema at that time thinking, we've got to see the latest Seagal movie. It's going to be awesome. And then I had to spend 90 minutes with Forrest Taft.
Forrest Taft was a air freshener in a car. What do you think it would smell like?
Well, it
patchouli and shit.
It would
I was thinking
changing.
ham and piss.
No, just time would help it change the essence of your car. That's what it would do. So it would smell like constant flux and a dimple. That's it. So it's compared to later Seagal movies, this one is a wonderful, joyous experience. But compared to his start run, it's terrible. So it ends up being kind of in the middle. It's enjoyably bad. So thanks, Craig. I didn't cry, and I didn't have to buy a triple pack to watch it. So that also cheered up my week.
Yay.
Yeah, I also didn't cry, but again, I didn't buy a triple pack, so I'm sorry, T. This movie, the first, 15 minutes, well, less, okay, maybe the first 10 had me sold. The first time you see Seagal, he jumps out of a chopper, lights a cigar, he's wearing this awful bright yellow jumpsuit, and he blows up a fire. I was like, yes, thank you. This is exactly what I want from my Seagal movies. Then he has the scene in the bar, and it's like, yes, thank you. Okay, I can go with this. And then comes, everything just turns into a giant pile of shit. His elderly hacker friend who dresses like Red Green is killed. He has the slowest escape from a bomb. Look, if you're going to blow somebody up, blow them up when they go into the building, not when they throw the door open to leave. And then he becomes the movie trope I hate the most, is the white savior. When white men must come to protect any group, often Native Americans. Thank you for that, Kevin Costner, you son of a bitch.
I don't think he's meant to be white in this film. I think he's trying to pass himself off as a native.
What?
Is a vibe I get, which is worse.
Really? Wow, that is worse. I didn't get that at all. I just saw Seagal, and I went, dude, you so white. Yeah, that I did not pick up on. I probably should have picked up on that. I think they do kind of go out of their way to. Now that you mention it, I just couldn't get past his pasty ass.
I could be wrong. You might be right. That's how I saw it.
There's still brief moments of enjoyment to be wrung out. Tragically, none of them are in the action scenes. The action scenes in this movie are so boring. But Arlie Ermey is obviously having a lot of fun playing his part. And Billy Bob Thornton gets some fun lines to throw out. John C. McGinley is fine, although I can't help but think that Dr. Cox would have been able to take our hero. Just one quippy line and his head would have exploded. And even Michael Caine's fine in this. He is chewing the set and collecting his paycheck, but he's trying to enjoy himself. Tragically, they're all, second and third to Steven Seagal, who is, don't think human is the right word for Steven Seagal. He is, like, let's say you could suck all the pretense out of a certain type of upper middle class hippy dippy person that likes to go to yoga studios and talk about how much better they are than everyone else. And so you could suck that out, collected it in a bucket, then you poured the bucket in a mannequin mold and you brought it to life, it would be Steven Seagal.
Yeah.
And he spends most of his time with Joan Chen, she is an attractive woman, but my God, is she dull. She is so boring, and she's boring on Twin Peaks. She's a boring actor. Sorry, Joan. I still love you. I'd keep your spirit locked in a bedside knob. But, oh, God, she's boring. Good half of the movie is her translating her grandfather to Steven Seagal, but Grandpa doesn't actually, say things that are helpful. He speaks in, native metaphors, because apparently no Native Americans can just say, hey, this is a bad thing. Pretty fucking racist when all the Native American elderly men are describing everything as bear and oak and gelt, when they could really just say, hey, this oil well's bad. It's gonna do bad things. Just say that, Gramps. You don't have to try to. Oh, fuck.
You're all listing the reasons why I love this movie. You all keep listing so many reasons why I love it.
I can understand why someone might get enjoyment from it. If it's like one scene. That's a funny scene. But it's like 8 scenes of this. And then when the old man dies, it doesn't affect his granddaughter at all. But Forrest is totally torn up. What the fuck is that? And for an environmentalist, he destroys, a ton of the environment. He's blowing up caves. He's blowing up cliffs. He ignites a giant underground oil deposit. These things do irreparable harm to the environment, Steve. What
do you think the production of this film did to the environment? That's just like another...
I'm sure there's a big old chunk of Alaska that is just... It's no man's land now. Steven Seagal was there, and he scorched earthed it in order to make his environmental message movie. I am not a fan. I wouldn't even put this as mid-tier Seagal. His head is so far up his own ass, I don't think he saw daylight again for another 5 years.
Right, this is where I explain to you why you're all wrong, but also right. I was a fan of Steven, like Kevin says, he had a good run, and I was a fan of Steven Seagal, and I loathed it when it first came out. I really did. I loathed it, and I stayed away for many, many years, and only in recent years did I dare to revisit it. And in doing so, I came to recognize it as one of the greatest, trashy vanity projects of all time. This is Wiseau Green level masturbatory nonsense on a studio budget, which is amazing. I love this film, but what I really love is that Seagal levied 6 years of real success and hit movies to make this. He was like, this is my moment, I'm going to grab it. And he made this, which is 101 minutes of him kissing his own arse. And it is just, it's amazing. I could just talk about the bar fight scene for hours. Not just because it's amazing. For me, it is the perfect distillation of this movie. Because for me, there's some decent action, but it is set amidst a fucking ocean of condescending bullshit. And that's what this movie is. That bar fight, man, is everything. So much that I love about it. I love that Seagal grabs a lasso. I'm like, oh, what's he going to do with this lasso? And he just hits a dude in the face with it. I'm like, yes. Then he brutalizes a man who is, at the very least, 73 years old. I know it's self-defense and all these people are coming at him. He fucks this man up for life. He breaks his arm and his leg. It's horrendous. It's amazingly unnecessary. And then he plays slapsies with an oddly compliant drunken thug and reduces him to tears with the exchange that me me and Kevin had earlier, what does it take? What does it take to change the essence of a man? It's just absolute madness. I mean, he doesn't have a writing credit, I don't think, Steven Seagal, but he was in charge of the script of this film. I mean, some of the dialogue, man, like like where his old friend says, "Nah, I know you know, whore." That cracked me up. It's not really a spoiler. If you were expecting Seagal to be a whore in this film, then maybe
It would have been a
spoiler, I don't
much
know.
better film. I would watch a movie where Seagal walks the streets of Bangkok, soliciting college kids there on spring break. I would watch that movie. I would watch that movie like 6 times in a row. That would be amazing.
You might get to watch that reality show in a few years about that movie. We will see. Best line in the film, though, which it's the film like last time I watched it that made me realise just how wonderful this film is, and it's the line, "You see, I love the spirit world, and I loved your father." It's so out of context. I can't explain why it's amazing. It's just an insane line of dialogue, and it's just nonsense. It's pure nonsense. What it really is this is pure Seagal. This is unfiltered Seagal. This is him. There's no leash. He's just being as Seagal as he can be, and it's just amazing. Like, I love his character, Forrest Taft, which is an amazing name, and the fact that he's employed. Seemingly, his job is to blow up stuff that's already on fire. That's a cool job. I dig his whole look, the jacket, the absurd amount of what appears to be treacle in his hair. I've got a little bit of trivia here on Deadly Ground Trivia. Throughout production, Seagal employed a Sharpie hairline maintenance technician, 2 jowl wranglers, and a 6-man tassel coordination team to keep him looking fly. And they were paid $30 million. I love that it's the only Steven Seagal film to take place within the Twin Peaks universe. Am I the only one who noticed this?
No, you're not. We made the
It takes
reference.
place in the Twin Peaks universe, without question. It is madness. I love the whole sequence where the bullshit like training trance thing with the native characters when he's healing. I just fucking love that. Because first, he's the environmentalist that he murders a bear. Like, he's stabbing the fuck out of his bear before he cared about the environment. That's fine. I guess natives kill bears for fur, so on and so forth. But after that, he appears in a cave. And to his left is a hot, naked native lady. And to his right is like a 200-year-old crone playing a single maraca. And I don't really understand the context of the scene, but seemingly he needs to choose between the two. And then suddenly, the next scene, Steve is sitting on the crone's bed with her, stroking her face. Like, I've seen this film before, and I was certain he was going to fuck her. He doesn't, but, no movie is perfect, I guess.
At least he doesn't in the cut we got to see. Remember,
true.
40 minutes of lecture was cut. I bet you Crone's fuck was cut, too. Bastards.
Oh, there was probably a 40-minute crone fucking scene as well. Ugh. And when I say ugh, I mean seeing Steven Seagal naked, not the very old native lady. I would be concentrating on the old native lady so as not to see any Seagal jiggling. I love Michael Caine, obviously, but I think he's legitimately great in this. Like, the man is worth his weight in gold 1,000,000 times over. He can make the shittiest role so much fun. I would like to see a prequel where his character takes part in the reality show, Undercover Boss. I would love to see his character do Undercover Boss because he's a fucking cunt and he hates all of his employees. That scene where he shoots the advert is just fucking amazing. It's like from a different movie because it's just so good. I love John C. McGinley, and what I really love is I love McGinley visibly loving working alongside Caine because when they're together, when they're scenes together, it's like they're in their own movie. It's like they chatted in their trailer like, what the fuck have we let ourselves in for? But they just have a whale of a time in their scenes, so I love those. I think the action scenes are good. It's not Fury Road or anything, but it's what I want from a Seagal movie. It is squibby as fuck in that third act. Insane with the squibs. What's that? Is it a fuck? Not bounce. What's the front towards enemy explosive that you see in?
Mine.
Yeah, it's some sort of mine.
Anti-personnel mine.
Yeah, and 60 million squibs go off. It was just beautifully unnecessarily violent. I love Arlie Ermy and Chunky Billy Bob. It's a bit undignified, really, for them, but, it's nice to see them. It's just so good. I mean, it's not, but I have so much fun with it. I just laugh and laugh and laugh, and by the end of a lecture, full-on lecture, that would have Neil Breen thinking, it's a bit heavy-handed. That's just the icing on the cake. It is just, I think you guys could learn to love it as a piece of just inept, terrible trash that someone like Wiseau or Breen would put out. My only complaint about this terrible film is that Michael Caine's death he needed a way more spectacular demise. He needed to go out in some sort of insane kind of way, and it was a bit of a letdown. But otherwise, I think this is bad movie gold, and I think it is a very worthy winner this week. Kevin, pick one. Okay, I will go with Cowboy Bebop. Second place is an acceptable place for Cowboy Bebop, I think. I struggled with Cowboy Bebop. I did. I didn't want to. I thought I was going to really like it, but I struggled with it. There are a couple of just really important elements that didn't click for me, and they kind of outweighed all the stuff that I liked, and there was a bunch of stuff that I liked. I dug the action scenes quite a bit. They were energetic and stylish, and they had some real kind of verve to them. I could have done with one or two more of those, to be honest. But I really enjoyed those. The big aerial dogfight at the end with the funk soundtrack, that was really well crafted. That was really well put together. And I thought the animation was really strong throughout, particularly during those aforementioned action sequences. But yeah, throughout. It was really, really strong animation. The visuals are generally really striking throughout the whole film. That really works. There's a lot of strong design work. Characters, the vehicles, the costumes, those were all great. Some of the background art was gorgeous, really gorgeous. That whole Moroccan marketplace sequence, really beautifully illustrated. Anyone else notice a little Easter egg during the first marketplace scene?
No.
No. If you pause at just the right moment, you can see Dave sitting on his throne of lies, telling some poor fucker, sure, you can watch Dead Man Wonderland Dying Happy Dog Race without reading Dead Man Wonderland Who Killed Cock Robin. It's fine. Go ahead. No, you don't, Dave. You don't need to be familiar with previous versions to follow the story. I will give you that. But the writers are definitely assuming a level of familiarity with these characters that I do not have. And that isn't their fault. That's bad Uncle Dave's fault. Bad Uncle Dave is a bad man. But beyond Dave's undeniable evil, if a large part of Cowboy Bebop's enjoyment comes from, this team of misfit characters and their relationships, the movie itself drops the fucking ball there because they share very little screen time together. Nowhere near enough scenes of them, with each other and bouncing off of each other. They're separated for far too much of a runtime, and that was a big mistake, I thought. I feel like I could have come to really like these characters if they were given more background, and if they spent a bit more time together, if I could, because that's how you learn who these characters are, not when they're off on their own. So, I don't know. The story was very thin as well, like too thin to spread over almost 2 hours. If it had been bulked out with some of the missing character development I was whining about just now, perfect, cope, but it wasn't. I would struggle to tell you what went on between the various action scenes and showdowns. It just didn't make an impression because it all felt a bit just exposition-y, whereas I wanted a bit of texture instead. So yeah, not really a fan. Like, I like parts of it, very thin, and I don't know. I'll give the series a shot because I assume that a series will give way more time to character development and the relationships between them, and there'll be multiple plot lines going on. So I'll give the series a go, but the film, it did not work for me, I'm afraid. Didn't hate it, just nah. Put that on the poster.
Like I've said many times in the past, I'm not an anime fan at all. I like animated movies, but anime was just never my thing, like, at all. But with that said, I did promise Dave I'd go into this with an open mind. And one good thing about this one, it's not a sequel to a movie that I've never heard of, aka Persona 3, the movie, Part 28, the sequel, Part 5. Shockingly, guys, I actually did somewhat dig this. I love that jazz soundtrack. I can legit praise the music enough. I legit can't praise the music enough, excuse me. It's fucking great. The animation is fantastic, and some of the voice acting is really top-notch. It's got some good, memorable characters. I do think it suffers from an uneven pace during the second half, and at times it's a bit convoluted for its own good. And like Craig said, I wish the writers would have given unfamiliar viewers, like people who aren't into Cowboy Bebop or people who spend $20 on Steven Seagal triple packs, more backstory on the characters. Fuck. But overall, I did enjoy it. Is it something I'd return to multiple times in the future? Probably not. But where it stands now, Dave actually got me to sit down and watch an anime that I didn't outright hate. So I'm looking at this as a total fucking milestone of actually sitting down and enjoying something anime related. So thanks, Dave. I did dig it. So yay.
I bet there would be anime that Tyler would love, like Urotsukidoji. There's some sick, really sick, demented anime out there that I reckon Tyler would really like.
Yeah, there is. We're slowly easing him towards it. That's been my plan with the 2 anime picks.
So we're not that far off the tentacle anal.
No, we're like 4 months away from some just full-on tentacle X-ray porn.
Sweet.
I have to agree with everyone who's called Dave a slightly risible, smelly liar, pants on fire, because I didn't want to watch 3 seasons, play 4 computer games on 4 different consoles, and then catch up on a bunch of comics before watching a film.
25 episodes and 2 games, you could play them both on the PS2. So, suck it.
So, no, I had to delete Angry Birds off my phone nowadays because I don't have time to play Angry Birds. That's fucking Angry
You're
Birds.
welcome.
Really
Angry Birds is terrible. I did you a favor.
It's awesome. It's the
No.
only game I ever get high scores in because I'm just playing against myself. But Cowboy Bebop was, I'm not even going to, I should attempt to names, shouldn't I? Director was Shinichiro Watanabe. And maybe, was it Yoshiyuki Takai and Tetsuya Kimura? See, these are like notes from 2 weeks ago, so I don't know if that's all directors or some writers. I've got Hiroyuki Okiura. Does his name mean anything to anyone? Tap twice if it's a yes.
You got a director, a producer, and I think a Japanese voice cast member?
Okay,
So
I've covered some bases.
Yeah, they're all connected. They're all there.
Yes. No, my Bebop shit. No, not really. I thought this was alright. I agree with Craig that I think it assumes a familiarity that we didn't have going in because Dave's pants were on fire. And I think if I had that familiarity, I might have enjoyed it more. It was... The plot was okay, someone, it's to do with a virus that's about to be released, and the cowboys that are on the Bebop are going to save it, because they're bounty hunters, right? Yeah, it's kind of a squadron,
Yeah.
and they all have quite easily defined characteristics or personalities that are quite good. There was an opening section with a robber in a store where the main characters or a couple of main characters are introduced, and that was fun. That gave me a really almost kind of late 80s action movie vibe, which I enjoyed. Just the stereotypical store hold-up that is inadvertently interrupted by our heroes. I liked that. As the plot developed, I didn't mind how it was unfolding, but it just didn't draw me in enough. And I didn't really care enough about the characters. I didn't sit there thinking, well, if it ends really gloomily with everyone dying, it's not going to be that bad. I mean, I wasn't wishing death upon them, but I wasn't that sort of bothered, wasn't that invested. I didn't think the action worked. The action was better than anything in the Seagal movie, but it wasn't.
Lies.
It wasn't. I wanted that to be more and have more sort of energy to it, maybe a bit more inventiveness. Because with this, I wanted this to be like
Hit someone with a lasso, something like
a
that.
super team. I wanted this to be a super team that I would enjoy, even if they had to stop and ask, what does it take to change the essence of a man? If they did that, if they sort of melded the Seagalogy, Seagology,
Seagology?
Seagology,
yeah.
I enjoyed this. The animation was fine. It was alright. I just thought it needed a little bit more. I think what I'm aiming
Seagal.
for is like not Seagal. Sort of more energy, I think, for me would have helped, and energy and maybe a bit of inventiveness, as I say, with the action scenes. And we were doing, and when it cropped up with there were a couple of deeper ideas seeded through it as well, which were good when they came to the fore. But as I was just watching it and enjoying it, I wasn't, like, they didn't resonate with me throughout. Whereas I think it could have been done better for that as well. Because the bad guy here is quite an interesting figure. And as his background comes up, the villain. But because of the way they drip feed that throughout and then lead towards it's a decent finale, I just sort of wish that I'd known more perhaps about him a bit sooner and been allowed to see the complexity of the morality that was on display, if those words have made sense when I put them together. But, it was all right, Dave. It was better than anything that I watched for Steven Seagal this week. It doesn't matter how much he offers to trombone me.
Yay.
One time.
Small win.
That's we can come up with the poster quotes.
It's not going to be like a schedule. Like, I'm not going up to Edinburgh like twice a month to trombone you. I don't like On Deadly Ground that much.
That's good to know.
I will partly agree. This is lesser Bebop. But I picked this. It was the 20th anniversary of the series. And I needed you guys to get your introduction to it because Cowboy Bebop is excellent. The English voice cast, and I'm not a big anime fan, but I'll watch it. And there's a big fight between dubbed versus subbed, and I've seen Cowboy Bebop both dubbed and subbed, and I'm going to say this, and it's the most divisive thing I have ever said. The English voice cast is better. Actually, the English voice cast for Cowboy Bebop is perfect. So having them there really helps my enjoyment, but Stephen Blum, Bo Billingsley, Wendy Lee, and Melissa Fawn are fantastic, and they work wonderfully together. They are not given enough time together in the movie. The plot is stretched too thin. The fight scenes are good. But really, this movie is about the voice cast and the music by Yoko Kanno, who is kind of like, think of her as like the John Williams for anime. You know how John Williams scores like every sci-fi movie of the past 30 years that's made by one of the bigger directors? She's scored tons of animated series, and she's awesome. So basically, I picked this, and I would have gotten the win last week for it, because you guys needed to be introduced to Cowboy Bebop, and this is the only way I can on this podcast, because once Craig picked Brass Eye, it was then handed down the TV series were off limits, or I would have picked like the first 4 episodes.
Yeah, but ignore that, because I am picking Garth Marenghi's Dark Place at some point. I'll just say it, and I'll hang up my headset, and that will be that. You'll all have to watch it.
Stop going rogue, Craig. Stop going rogue.
I will go as rogue as I bloody well please, young man.
Damn it, man, you're a lunatic, but you get results.
But here's the thing. Now all three of you have seen the movie, right? So one day, you're going to be scrolling along on some streaming service, and you're going to see the series. And you are going to click that play button, because you're going to go, man, Dave really gushed over this, and the movie was not bad. And you'll watch one episode, and you'll be like, yeah, that was okay. Then you'll watch 2 episodes, and you'll really start getting into it. And then 3 days later, you're going to be like, Dave, you're right, that was fucking awesome. And it's going to happen with all 3 of you. And that's a win for me.
Watch one episode for each episode of The Wire Tyler watches.
Ooh. Even if it takes years, all 3 of you are going to watch Cowboy Bebop. All 3 of you are going to love Cowboy Bebop. So I win no matter what. Even if I don't win in the votes, I have won this week. Because I have introduced you guys to something you will love. Eventually.
So have I.
Oh, honey, no. Did you smack your head? Do I need to call 999? Do you need medical assistance?
I used to hate it too, man. It will win you over when I pick it again in a year or 2.
And I'm going to go with Gentlemen Prefer Blondes, the 1953 comedy musical starring Jane Russell and Marilyn Monroe. It's about 2 showgirls who are also, good buddies. And they get on a boat together with a bunch of Olympic athletes. Monroe's character, Lorelai, is obsessed with diamonds and thinks that one of the only ways women can succeed is by attracting a rich husband. And her buddy Dorothy, played by Jane Russell, is more attracted to men who look good and are fit and thinks that's the most important thing. And that's the movie's about them chasing men on a boat. I am not a fan of this movie. I'm not. Jane Russell really carries it for me. she's great. It's just the script. I can't even think that even in 1953, this is a lot of bad jokes. The songs are not good. It is decently directed, and the musical sequences are very well staged, but the songs are not good. The jokes mostly fall flat. The love for this movie really escapes me. Absolutely hate the Winnie the Pooh Marilyn Monroe gag. All of it just reeks. And again, I know that it's 53, and all these jokes have been done to death since then, but they were done to death before then too. It's a very lazy comedy that doesn't work for me and is just not. No, I'm not a fan. I got nothing else to say except nope, pass, thanks, nope. Poster quote. The Winnie the Pooh joke was stupid. Nope.
Yeah, like Dave, I'm not a big fan of this one at all. For how gorgeous Marilyn Monroe was, I really don't think she was much of an actress. She had no range at all. And looking back at this, I can guarantee she wasn't casted based on her acting abilities. At times, it felt like Hawks was poking fun at that fact, too, especially since about a third of the jokes felt dedicated to that exact thing. Her character writing was fucking awful. She had nothing to work with. And even though I don't think she was that great of an actress, she was so much better than this. Watch River of No Return instead, people. Some of the surrounding cast around Monroe are overall pretty decent, if not a little hammy at times. Jane Russell was good. I fucking hated the musical numbers. I just hated all the songs. They annoyed the holy shit out of me. The comedy didn't work for me at all either. There really is some truly great stuff made in the 50s, but this wasn't one of them, and I really don't get why this is considered a classic because, it's boring, and I'm not a fan.
Let's say I strongly disagree. I don't know how strong. No, I'm going to strongly disagree. Fuck you all. This is a first-time viewing for me, and also my first Marilyn Monroe film, which is ridiculous. I do a movie podcast, first film I've seen Marilyn Monroe in. I suck. I get Marilyn Monroe now. I understood the appeal like 3 seconds after she first appeared on screen. Like, holy shit! I disagree very strongly with Tyler because, yeah, she's absurdly beautiful and shapely and absurdly gorgeous, but I think her comic timing is fucking sublime. I was not expecting her to be as sharp a comic actress as she was, and she makes it look fucking effortless as well. It was something to behold. I expected to, be impressed by her to some degree, but I didn't expect to be blown away by how sharp she was. And all of my favourite moments in this movie come courtesy of Marilyn Monroe. As good as the rest of the cast are, all my highlights come from her. Like her bouncing on the bed as her beau, her concerned-looking beau, bids her farewell as she's surrounded by ripped Olympians. I love the way she played that. Dave hated it, but the conversation she holds with the Diamond Baron while sticking halfway out of a porthole, I loved that. That really made me laugh. The part where the Diamond Baron unwittingly kisses the hand of like a 8-year-old boy, that really cracked me up. That shit would not fly anymore. It made me laugh. I loved every moment where she bats her eyelids and ferries some poor soul into a quiet corner so she can mind fuck them to pieces. I just really enjoyed her and her character because she's quite the shitbag, and in a very fun way. I just think she's fantastic and lights up the screen. Like I said, I get it now. There are one-offs in life, miraculous one-offs like Elvis Presley, and I think she's one of them, never to be repeated. I really, really loved her. I really, really enjoyed Jane Russell as well. She really has a way with an acerbic one-liner, like a real dick shriveling, just break your spirit one-liner. She kind of radiates this tough, no-nonsense, don't fuck with me or my friend, or I'll cut your dick off and throw it in the sea kind of energy. I really enjoyed her. And when they're together, it's just fantastic. They got killer chemistry, and they complement each other just fucking perfectly. No, neither one is trying to upstage the other. They just click, and it's fantastic. And I got to say, not being hugely familiar, Dave's the man with the answers, so Dave will know. Not being hugely familiar with the climate of the time this was made in, I wonder, was it unusual to have female leads like this? Jane Russell's ogling these Olympians like slabs of meat. Monroe is cheerfully mind-fucking lecherous old dudes left, right, and centre. They're very self-possessed and have a sort of like a sexual agency that I'm not sure how common that was at the time.
You know what? I think it's one of those questions that I'm not really sure about, because all the examples I can think of that have survived as well in pop culture with female leads like that have some agency of their own. But think about how many movies came out back then. I'm going to say maybe.
Okay.
You asked me, Craig. I might have known the answer.
Well, if Dave doesn't know the answer, you don't know the fucking answer, Kevin, all right?
That is
mean, but entirely
completely
accurate.
correct. Yeah, I'm just.
Sorry, that was a bit mean. I've had a couple of beers and a tequila, and I'm feeling mean. Apologies. Dave and Tyler did not like the script. I did. I laughed a bunch of times, and I thought I would find the odd bit amusing and, have a smile a little bit. I thought it might get me to crack a couple of smiles, but I laughed out loud a bunch of times. I dug the sets. I dug the costumes. I thought it looked great. I love the way it was shot. I loved the energy and sort of like the rhythm of the big dance, the big musical numbers. The only issues I had, I'm with Dave on some of the musical numbers, because I think that the dancing was really well choreographed and well shot, but I don't think the songs are very memorable. And I was so enjoying the character interactions, the way Russell and Monroe were bouncing off each other, and how they were bouncing off their male counterparts. I was enjoying that so much that I found myself willing the musical numbers to end, because I wanted to get back to all the banter and the scheming and the stuff that I was enjoying. And also, it gets a bit muddled. There's a stretch in the third act that feels really, really muddled, like the courtroom scene in particular. That really lost me. That's a bad scene, and I don't know why it's there. I mean, the third act is just a bit of a mess in general. But outside of that, I dug it a lot. I thought I would I thought I'd like it and, appreciate it for, for a film of its time. But I had a lot of fun. I found it to be a very, very easy film to enjoy. And Marilyn Monroe, she blew me away. So I'll dig out my Blu-ray of Some Like It Hot, which I have somewhere, and I'll give that a watch soon.
Some Like It Hot was the only Marilyn Monroe film I'd seen before this, and it's one of my favourite films. I love it, and I love Marilyn Monroe in it, even though it's mainly Jack Lemmon and Tony Curtis. Marilyn Monroe is also great in Some Like It Hot. They all work well together. So when I picked this, it was either Gentlemen Prefer Blondes or The 7-Year Itch.
And I am so grateful. I am so grateful you didn't pick The 7-Year Itch.
That could still come down the line then. I'll probably keep that one to myself.
I realize that. I just want to log how grateful I am right now. So when
you did not realize you were giving him.
When you're thinking
to hurt you with,
should I pick The 7-Year Itch? You can think of how joyed Dave was, so that you didn't pick it before and keep it to yourself.
Yeah, I might do. So I went for Gentlemen Prefer Blondes. As I think Craig said, so 1953, Howard Hawks, written by Charles Leder and based on a play. I'd said a lot last time about this, and I tend to fall in the middle. I don't really dislike it, but Craig is the one who ended up liking it the most. What I did this week is I was looking into some other factoids that I didn't have time for last week, and found out, to my surprise, it seems like Monroe was sort of opted in for this because she was cheap, compared to the first choice was Betty Grable, apparently, and then there was maybe Jane Russell. So it's just surprising that they picked her because they figured they're the cheap starlet. I think even compared to Jane Russell here, I've written down Jane Russell twice. We've gone. I can't remember who else was up for the other role, but compared to Jane Russell, Monroe was a lot less expensive to pay. Although the two got on really well, I think this was the only film they did together, and I think they work well together. I like their exchanges. There's something about Monroe's comedic style in this one that I don't enjoy as much. I don't know what it is. There's a lot that I like. I like the way she sort of strongly or with conviction she uses like the wrong words and phrases, but in a context that makes them seem like that's fine. And she just goes on with it and is pretty headstrong and oblivious. I like that. I think it's maybe a problem with the actual comedy stemming largely from the fact that she is essentially a gold digger for most of the films after these men for the riches. That does provide some comedy, but it's, yeah, I think I like her when she's giving a sort of more innocent, perhaps naive performance, or playing that sort of character, which would explain why I like her more in Some Like It Hot for that character. I do agree with Craig that Russell's great with the sharp lines. Throughout the script, although Monroe wasn't the first choice, it feels like she was. I don't know if it's from the play or if it was adapted from her or if it's just coincidence, but she gets some great lines, and one of them is, I can be smart when it's important, but most men don't like it. I just feel like that's something she might want to shout out for herself at any point in her career. Whether there's any truth in it or not, I don't know. For this film, it's a solid sort of support cast. I especially like the young lad played by George Winslow, who's a rich young man, and that leads to some amusement. But nobody involved can claim this is their their best film, I don't think. Certainly not Monroe, and certainly not Howard Hawks, who's just got a list, I'm not even sure this would make the top 10 of Howard Hawks movies for me. Doesn't mean I didn't enjoy it. Quite a bit I did like, and it is just a nice, pleasant way to spend, it's about 90 minutes or so, or 100 minutes. I can't recall. The songs are unmemorable, apart from Diamonds Are a Girl's Best Friend. But it was good. Not great. I will explore more of Marilyn Monroe's filmography. I will report to Dave when I treat myself to the 7-year itch. And I'll see how it goes. There are a lot of people I already know who love this and were commenting when we were going to cover it. So they may be slightly disappointed in all of us apart from Craig, which is an unusual turn of events.
So did you guys notice an actor who had appeared in one of our earlier views have a brief moment in Gentlemen Prefer Blondes?
And one of our
The young boy. Has
Yep.
he been in?
This guy was also in The Thing from Another World, which, as I said, I saw earlier this week, and that's what makes me bring it up.
Ah. No clue.
Do you remember Joe, the nerdy sidekick of Cal?
Yes! I loved Joe.
Joe pops up with a line as one of the Olympians,
Ah.
only for a split second.
So it's a This Island Earth prequel.
Yes, This Island Earth is... I didn't notice his name in the credits, so he might even be uncredited, but that is totally Robert Nichols.
Yay. I want a Joe spin-off.
Me too.
Love that guy.
He makes some snarky comment as they're getting on the boat.
It's now worked out that we coincidentally climax with Donkey Punch. I'm not sure if that was deliberate or
Who
not.
says that was coincidental?
Oh my god. So Donkey Punch. Thanks, Tyler.
Anytime.
It's the second time I watched this. I really should have opted for the porno that Dave found. 2008, directed by Ollie Blackburn, who also co-wrote it with David Bloom. I can't find anything else from David Bloom. Ollie Blackburn has done a few things, including a film called Christie from 2014 that I'm pretty sure Tyler will look up and then make us all watch at some point. So
I've seen
called
that
it
already.
first. Sorry?
I've seen it already, actually. It's okay.
So I don't
Yes.
have to bollock Kevin for alerting you to it.
Translation, not enough drugs and rape in it, is what you're saying.
Pretty much. And
Right.
he also wrote that movie Vinion. I don't know if you guys seen that, but that's really good.
Yeah, I fucking love Vinion.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I've heard good things. Is that the one with is it Rufus Sewell in that, or
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get confused? Or yeah, I've still
a
not got to it.
weird-
I've heard really good things.
Creepy fucking movie.
I'll need to bear that in mind after thinking I would avoid all of his other stuff, because Donkey Punch could also be titled Irritable Twats Get Caught Up in an Implausible Situation. I don't like Donkey Punch. Let me explain what a Donkey Punch is, apparently. It's when you're having sex with someone and you punch them on the back of the head when you're about to come, because they will clench and it'll make your orgasm oh so much better. That's what a Donkey Punch is. Watching this film did make me feel like I've been punched in the back of the head and then fucked, so it's good for replicating that. So the plot is a group of girls go with a group of guys on while they're on holiday, and they go out to sea in a boat. And of course one of them decides to mention these Donkey Punch shenanigans, and then people have sex and someone tries the Donkey Punch and it doesn't end well. So there's a body, there are panicked girls, and there are guys who are trying to cover up and save their asses. That's the basic plot. The girls are played by, see if I can get this right, is it Sian Brecken? Plays a girl called Lisa. Jamie Winston, a girl called Kim, and Nicola Burley. There's a girl called Tammy. So they are in peril. The guys, now I've got a shorthand here. Julian Morris plays Josh, who punches. So he is the donkey puncher, which is another Seagal movie in the future. Robert Bolter plays Sean. Jay Taylor plays Marcus. And I've got his shorthand with a spoiler there. And Tom Burke plays a guy called Bluey, who is possibly one of the most annoying people I've seen in a film like this. Like, as in, he's not written to be the goofball or the nerd that keeps doing the jokes when everyone wants to get serious. He's just a twat, and a complete twat who still mingles with these quite lovely young ladies and is going to get in there. And he's the one that tells everyone about a donkey punch, as in like, yeah, man, you got to do it proper, like, you know. No, he's just a fucking twat. Why anyone would listen to him, why anyone would want him there at their party that's maybe going to turn into a little bit of sexy time is just beyond me. So that is a big sort of thing I can't get round with this film. The idea is silly, to be polite, and I don't like any of the characters. It has some contrived moments that work for a standard thriller. I mean, I'll be grudgingly okay about it there. This is a really, really, really shit thriller. It's just, who sat there and thought, oh, I've heard of this thing called a donkey punch. You know, we should make a thriller around that, set at sea, because that's what people want. It's not. I'd rather be donkey
It's what
punched.
some people want.
No, I'd rather be punched by a donkey.
It is literally what Tyler wants.
Well, yeah, okay.
Exactly what I want, actually. But
Donkeys can't punch people. They don't have fists.
if it was set in a trailer, I would have came in my pants. Let's just put it that way.
The donkeys do. They go into pubs at weekends and they start fights, and it all kicks off. And then when they're gone and everyone's recovering, the bouncer goes in and says, "Hee-haw, hee-haw." He always does that. It's my donkey gag for the week. No.
You're just an endless reservoir of just brilliance.
I've got so many donkey gags, you know. Al Pacino should have been in Donkey Punch. Wouldn't have liked it, but he got a great ass. I'm sorry, right? I've done enough roundabout ways to have donkey gags. I didn't like it.
Whoa.
Shocker.
Yeah.
I wish that I actually had accidentally saw the porno. I wish that when I clicked the link that said Donkey Punch, it was the wrong one. I would have probably have had a better time. Okay, let's get the good, and I'm air quoting, out of the way. For a first-time feature, it is not terribly directed. I mean, to be fair, the shots are set up nicely. It's blocked fine. He keeps the action in frame. I've seen worse first-time features. The cast they could be worse, but everything else is kind of shit. I was not a fan of On Deadly Ground, but I see its appeal. I did not care for Gentlemen Prefer Blondes, but again, I can see its appeal. I can see why someone would enjoy it. Donkey Punch, I don't get at all. My notes for this movie are literally writing down what's going to happen next, and then writing, yep, once it happened. This movie follows every beat perfectly, step by step by step. It does nothing new, it does nothing interesting, it does nothing unique. It is just the most generic thriller you could think of. If I tell you 7 kids get on a boat and go out to international waters to party, you're going to know everything that happens in this movie. Which is a shame, because I actually think this is a good setup. Is it stupid? Yes. But you can have some fun, tense thrillers in that location with that setup. You could do something really good. They didn't. They did everything as lazily and as generically as possible, which is a shame. If they'd given a reason to care about one of the characters, maybe I would have felt differently. If they hadn't telegraphed every moment so hard, maybe it would have worked. But no. Nope. T, I assure you that I don't know how the final vote will go, but it ain't going to be for Donkey Punch.
Well, I knew that the moment I picked it.
Oh, I know you did. I'm just confirming your suspicions. It's just lazy, and I love a good thriller. I love a good mystery. I love a good horror, and the word "good" is actually not in the vocabulary of anyone involved in this. Mediocre, sure. Lazy, definitely. Good, nope.
I am much closer to Team Tyler than Team other two. I kind of like Donkey Punch. I've seen it a few times, and without question, it has suffered from diminishing returns. There's no doubt. But overall, for me, it hits more than it misses. That said, I cannot tell you how much more I would love this movie if it was take this basic premise, but make it like the first In-Betweeners movie. The first In-Betweeners movie was Jay bullshits Will into donkey punching some poor girl to death, and then hilarity ensues. Man, I would love that movie so fucking hard. All I could think while I was watching this time was this could have been the best In-Betweeners movie, but it didn't happen, so I'll talk about this movie. I think the bones of a really strong thriller are here. I just think it's a film that sabotages itself a little too often. Like, I think there's a little more depth to it than some people might think. I think there are interesting themes at play. I think there are themes like alpha male bullshit bravado and women being shamed for having sexual agency. I think there's stuff worth exploring in this film. However, and this is where the sabotage comes in, having the only female character who doesn't indulge in casual sex be the only survivor, that kind of works against some of the interesting aspects that come before.
Hold on. I'm going to interrupt.
Yeah.
Because while I can see why you'd want that to be in the movie, let's be honest, the only real moral of this movie is don't bring your younger brother onto the fuck boat.
I disagree. The fact that the moment that makes everything go to shit, it all happens because of alpha male fucking bravado. Which is one kid has heard all his older mates boasting about this shit they've done or shit they've heard of, which is all just utter bullshit, the sort of things that teenage boys talk about. And he feels the need to act it out to be one of the lads. I think that's interesting. And I think once it all kicks off and these girls, obviously, they just want to tell the police. They want to tell someone what's happened. They're instantly kind of shamed. Like, do you really want to tell her parents what she was doing? Do you really want to tell your parents what you were doing? And I think that was interesting as well. You know, they shouldn't have to be any more ashamed of having casual sex than anyone else should. But, you know, that's in there. I think it's quite interesting, personally. But like I say, having the sort of, not Virginia character, but the only one who doesn't have casual sex, having her be the only survivor, kind of works against that for me. So it's just a little confused. I think there are a bunch of strong young actors in it. I'm going to disagree with Kevin because I like Tom Burke, who played Blue, a lot. And for me, he's by far the highlight of this film. His character is an absolute twat. But Kevin, if you think this man does not exist in real life and does not get laid a lot, you are wrong. I have known this man I've known more than one version of this man. An utterly horrendous cunt. Because the actor's from Kent, and I feel like he must know this person as well. I've met many people like this who are just awful, awful human beings, but plenty of girls fall for their shit. So it was very authentic, and I like the actor, but this is a theme for the actors in this. He's done better work than this. Do you know what else he's been in, Tyler?
No, what else has he been in?
Do you know the brother at the beginning of Only God Forgives?
Yeah. Oh shit, that is him.
That is him. He's fucking great in that. It's sort of my favourite part of the film.
Fuck, he was a piece of shit in that too.
He was just beyond violent, that man. Like, wow. So I really like him. Julian Morris, who the Donkey Puncher, as he has been renamed, I think he's good here. I think he's one of the stronger performances, but again, been better elsewhere. He's in a show called Hand of God, where he channels Tom Cruise in a really, really fun way. I like Jamie Winston. I like Nicola Burley. But again, both of them, they've given stronger performances since. And I think that's where the problem is with this film. That's where the problem comes in, because no Kevin-esque punnery intended. The actors in this film are all at sea. Because I really get the impression there wasn't a lot on the page for them. They were told, left to their own devices, to create these characters. And they weren't given enough direction in terms of their characters, enough direction or enough on the page in terms of these characters. And that's where Donkey Punch falls down for me. Because I don't care about the outcome. None of the protagonists are all that compelling to me. I honestly think like the most promising of the three female characters was the first one to go. I would have been much more interested to see her butt heads with all of these alpha male dickhead antagonists for the rest of the film. But they don't go in that direction. They feel the need to make these women, I don't know. I don't know. They don't pick the most interesting female lead. They pick the least interesting female lead, in my opinion. So it's a solid movie, I think, despite those issues. I like the naturalistic approach it takes, the way it's shot. It's sort of like looks like if Shane Meadows made an exploitation movie, I think it would look a bit like this. I like the cast. I appreciate what I saw as an attempt to introduce some subtext about gender politics. It's just, there are flaws. There are flaws that undo some of the good work that I think it does. And it's a couple of drafts shy of being a smart, modern exploitation flick. But I like it anyway. I probably won't go back to it again because I've seen it 3 or 4 times. But, I like it. I think there's something there even if it's not a total success.
God, I really can't imagine watching this 3 or 4 times. I just can't.
I resent Tyler for making me watch it a second time. Can we just take a moment to spoilerifically enjoy the fact that through all this trauma, it comes to a point where one girl accidentally uses an outboard motor on the wrong guy and then jumps off the fucking boat.
Yeah, I don't get why she did that. I really don't.
She'd already killed some guy with a flare gun.
Yeah, right.
I mean,
but
she had the biggest body count.
Maybe wasn't the wrong guy. So rather than just think, oh well, fuck it, these guys have all worked together to this point to keep us on this boat and haven't really just let us do what we should have done at the start. He's like, oh no, I'm cut up about that. I'm jumping in the sea.
But they hadn't, had they? Because he was the token nice guy, right? That's the one that was.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then the original
until
killers...
we're in that situation, it's kind of hard to say,
No, I'll tell you exactly how I should have reacted. I would have then killed the other guy with the thing, tossed him overboard and been like, they got in a fight on the boat. I can't believe he killed himself with the prop. It's crazy.
If I accidentally outboard motored my wife while she was holding the cats, I'd just be like, ah, shit. Yeah, I loved you, but I'll move on. I mean, she knows that. She knows I've just got to draw the curtain on that. It was an outboard motor accident waiting to happen, and we all get on with our lives.
In Edinburgh.
Well, she doesn't get on with her lives, but yeah, she knows, and that is the way I'm built.
I'll point the police towards this episode of the podcast. And they will know it was premeditated.
Well, once you've outboard motored one person, you got to keep going. I mean, you might as well get rid of, 2 or 3 with it. Until you run out of gas, you should be a danger to yourself and all others. So
I'll just tell police that there must have been a random bullseye winner heading down the high street, which is only a joke that'll work for us Brits. But that's all it'll be. So look for the speedboat parked somewhere in the suburbs.
Tyler, tell us why we're all wrong before Kevin starts with more puns.
Okay, yeah, I think this is great. All the characters, all the characters are all unlikable pricks, but they're supposed to be unlikable pricks, or maybe that's just me and my love for unlikable pricks is clouding the fuck out of my judgment. It really does, to me, feel like the British version of Very Bad Things walked into dead calm.
Now that's a good movie. You should not be comparing this movie to Dead Calm.
Insane, yo.
They have similarities. So just take out the donkey punching. But yeah, but I thought all the performances were solid, especially the dude from Cry Wolf, that donkey punched the blonde chick. You guys said his name a few times, and
Julian Morris.
Yeah.
Donkey
I didn't want to keep calling him. I don't want to keep calling him the dude that donkey punched a girl from Cry Wolf. So I thought it built. I thought it built tension incredibly well. That dinner table scene totally had me on edge. It's well shot. It moved at a nice steady pace. I just really love movies that stick to one setting, and I think the director used that yacht setting really well. It makes you feel kind of claustrophobic and trapped. Yeah, this one, it really worked for me. I hadn't seen it since it first came out. I mean, since like 2008, 2009. But it really held up for me on rewatch. I actually liked it more this time around. I dig it a lot, and I really don't get the hate it gets because it's a competent movie. It's not perfect, but yeah, I like it a lot. So
I'm pretty sure we're all going to pick our own, but I have to ask because this is how we've set it up. So I'm just going to flat out say it. I pick Cowboy Bebop.
I'm going with the only movie in the group that our girl gets punched in the back of the head while getting fucked from behind. So that one.
I'll let Kevin go.
No. On you go.
No. Kevin goes last.
No, I'm undecided.
Oh, like hell.
I'm undecided, Kevin.
It's really tough this week, but I don't always go for my own choice. So, I'm going to go for Cowboy Bebop, despite seeming not so enthusiastic about it, because I didn't see the previous 4 seasons, 6 comics, and 5 video games.
25 episodes. 25 episodes and 2 video games if you want to play them later in Japanese. I don't think they were ever brought Europe or US.
The desire to punish you for making us watch anime that we don't understand is strong.
But it was still the best, so...
It was not the best. On Deadly Ground was the best, and so I am going to pick On Deadly Ground.
Our original plan for the special next week was goth guys that hang out in caves. Kevin, why don't you remind us what you picked?
I went for something goth, but also light with the Lego Batman movie.
Well, we decided that was just too wide a topic, so we decided to change it to Orphans with Awesome Cars. We're still going to watch Lego Batman, but the other picks are Orphans with Awesome Cars. Tyler, what'd you pick?
Let me think. What are some good orphan movies with awesome cars? I'm going to go with Joel Schumacher's Batman Forever.
Craig?
It's rough. I'm going to go with The Bridge Over the River Kwai. No, sorry. I'm going to go with Joel Schumacher's Batman and Robin.
I think, after much soul searching, I'm going to have to go with Batman 66. Kevin, do you want to pick one that's on the new theme? And we'll just do 5. That's fine.
On the Orphans with Awesome Cars.
Yeah.
It's pretty good. I guess the first one that comes to mind is Batman Mask of the Phantasm.
That was a truly unexpected turn of events, guys. Huh.
Totes amazeballs.
I am shocked. Join us next week.
It's almost as if it had been planned.
Almost. I don't know why you'd think that. We do spontaneity here. We've been Raiders of the Podcast, and remember, you can reach us at our blogspot, raidersofthepodcast.blogspot.com, on Facebook, where we are Raiders of the Podcast, on Instagram, where we are Raiders of the Podcast with a bunch of numbers, on Twitter, where we're Raiders of the Pod, and if you really need to get a hold of us, you can send us an email at raidersofthepodcast@gmail.com.
Also, you know the bat signal? If like a version of that, but with some lassie being donkey punched, you can get hold of us with that as well. Just showing that into the night sky.
That's true, except there's a few countries where it doesn't work, but most English-speaking countries will come running. Except New Zealand. We're not allowed back there.
We'll help you get rid of that corpse.
And on that note, have a good one.
Yeah.
Bye.
Yeah.